not one that's necessarily recording for the. Hello, everybody. We're joining this live stream a little bit late. We're struggling to get our founder, who we were going to mentor, online at the moment. If she's able to get online, then we'll carry on with the mentoring. But in the meantime, myself and Bill have been having an interesting chat about AI and how we're using it in our entrepreneurial or business environments. And I was talking to Bill about how I saw that he'd actually used it to redo his website, to modernize his website, to bring a different slant to it. And I thought that was really interesting, because I'm wanting to, for 12 Ronnies, to create some web pages, and I wanted to create them in WordPress. I'm not a WordPress designer, and I was looking, is it possible to do that? And Bill, maybe you could just give us a view of how you used Claude to modernize, let's say, or update your website, because I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, in 1997 called and they wanted their websites back. So I had to answer the call. I'm an old self-taught coder from way back. I got my first used computer from my aunt and uncle for Christmas in 1982, and I taught myself BASIC, and I went with that for a long time. He even took me into the object-oriented age with Visual Basic and that sort of thing. But my sites were all coded in what they call Classic ASP, the active server pages, which is just Visual Basic. It's Microsoft sold out-of-the-box solution for their server. It's not really supported anymore, but it still comes with a server, so you can still use it. But it's not scalable. It's not reliable. It breaks down. Nobody supports it. People make fun of you if you tell them your site's built on it. So it just came time that if I wanted to grow my business at all, I needed the sites to operate differently. And I had searched some online tools that said that they'd do a conversion from Classic ASP to like Microsoft .ASP, yeah. And they didn't work at all, or at least not for me, or the cost wasn't right. And finally, the fellow that ran one of these companies said, "Why don't you just go to Claude and see if he'll convert it for you?" And so I determined that I was going to convert my Classic ASP to PHP, which is almost as old, but it's still completely supported, and it's modern, and some of the biggest websites on earth run on it. Yeah. So I don't have to be embarrassed anymore. So I gave him one of my pages, and I said, "Please change this ASP page to a PHP page." And sure enough, it popped out. I dropped it into my website, and it ran.
Did it just completely rewrite the whole code in PHP and code that you could run?
Took all the scripts in ASP, understood what I was doing, and actually his coding, Claude's coding is so much better than mine. He puts in lots of comments, and so the comments said, "Here's where we're doing this." I mean, he actually understood what I was doing in my code, in my spaghetti code, cleaned it up, turned it into PHP, commented it so I could actually see what was going on, so I could learn PHP as he was doing it. And I did this for everything on my site. And then I went to the HTML pages that didn't require any of that server side stuff. And he converted those to a modern sort of look with modern CSS, made it look really nice. I sent it out to my customers, got 100% good feedback back. Even on LinkedIn, people said, "Hey, it looks great." There was maybe a handful of mistakes that were made over the course of 50 pages.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. And the interesting thing for me, Bill, is I see some of these web page builders, AI web page builders, and they're very good at taking a concept and you explaining to them the sort of website and it building a standard web page from that concept. So but that's sort of where it stops. They've got a framework they build into, and they're not sort of an open sort of AI that can then
Yeah.
then speak back to and say, actually, could you move that up a little bit and,
Right.
make it a bigger border and those sorts of things. So I'm quite
Yeah.
interested in.
Yeah, sites like Wix and things like that have done a nice job of that sort of very basic, hey, we'll cook you up a site based on, fill in these blanks. And that's not really AI. That's
No.
just fill in the blanks. Hey, we've got some spots here, we got blanks for them. We're just going to fill it in with what you do. So what Claude is doing, and I'm not advertising for Claude. I am a customer. I'm paying them the $20 a month. After that first web page, I went on and gave them the $20. No, it's like sold. I was ready to spend thousands of dollars on 3 websites. To get somebody to fix this, because it was a clear and present danger to my business that these sites would just collapse. So the sort of the Wix model versus truly AI is, yes, you give it to Claude or your favorite model. I did try to get ChatGPT to do this, and he kind of told me, here's how you might do it. Go out and do it yourself. And
have you got a paid version of ChatGPT?
I don't, but I didn't have a paid version of Claude either. So it could be just maybe he wants $20 from me.
Yeah.
But you put it in, he gives you something. I dropped it in my website and I looked at it. I was like, well, hey, can I make this a little narrower? Can you make that a little wider? Hey, how do I put a fourth box in this section?
Right. See, that's the sort of thing I want.
Yeah. And he understands what you're saying and he does it. And if you don't like it, you say, it's still not quite right. And and sometimes he makes mistakes because he can't see the output. And sometimes using CSS can be just a little bit of trial and error. Hey, here's how it works. Here's how it looks really in the browser versus how the textbook says. So it was just, but that process was so much shorter than me doing it myself. When I put in a line of CSS in, it could take me an hour to get it fixed and figured out. I mean, this was done in seconds, just a couple of back and forth. Oh, here it is. Try this, done.
But as well as making all those design changes, the whole look and feel, can you do you think you can combine it with things like SEO and say, let's, you're making these changes, but analyze the SEO of it and
so I thought about, so after I had the pages done, I thought of that. Oh gosh, what about SEO? Because I had some SEO stuff that I paid someone years ago to put in the old website.
Yeah.
I said, I need to optimize this for SEO. Give me what I should add. And in the process of this, he already understood my business. And it's a fairly simple business, but I didn't tell him what it was. He's just read all my pages and figured out what the heck I was up to. So he gave me SEO to put into various pages. And it's kind of that, my guys 10 years ago didn't do. It doesn't look anything like what they did. It was clean. It went in the website nicely. It looked like it was a part of the site instead of something that was tacked on. I mean, it was very, very professional.
It strikes me, Bill, that there's an opportunity, if there aren't people out there doing this, for an AI graphic designer coach to put together a course and to do consultancy on teaching people how to create their own web pages with AI, and with AI's amazing design capabilities and SEO capabilities and flexibility, rather than just here's a standard tool that puts it in a certain way.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there after this is done. I said to myself, why don't I just put out my shingle? It says, it says $99. I'll design you a 4-page website.
Yeah,
it's something I can do in 15 minutes with Claude, and it'll look like I'm some sort of fantastic web designer, but I'm not. I'm simply just the go-between. We're in that stage right now with AI technology where there's good money to be made in being able to concierge it for people that can't approach it yet. Yeah. In 10 years, it's going to be baked into everything. It's going to run without us. There won't be prompts anymore. Yeah. The prompting will come from life, and in our phone or whatever it is, will absorb what's going on in life, and that will be the prompts that it's helping running our day. But right now, we've got this sort of middle ground where there's sort of an informed harvest we can do, where we can become whatever we want now, because our favorite AI can make us look like that person, and we can charge for it, and people will be willing to pay for it, even if they learn that we were faking it.
Well, this makes it such an exciting time, doesn't it? Because we can use our experience and our human experiences and our work experience to create things, and use these amazing tools to do the imagination parts with us. To actually create things, whereas I guess in the future, it'll know about us, and it'll have learned a lot, and a lot of these things will be done without our input because it won't need it. As you said, it'll know our life.
Well, and that's the generative and generative AI. It truly creates, it creates something from something else, and it creates something of value and something that maybe is greater than the sum of the parts. So, you got me onto Google LM, a couple of months ago. I dropped the book that I wrote in there, and 3.5 minutes later, I got a 30-minute webinar with two people that sounded like friends or neighbors of mine, who acted like they knew everything I'd ever done and knew what I was doing, that talked about my book for 30 minutes. And it was actually really good. And it was so good that I sent it over to my mother, who has no idea what I do and doesn't understand it. She says, I really get what you do now. She actually listened to it. She has a high school diploma from 60 years ago, and that's it. So there isn't anything that we can't ask the AI. We just have to be careful about what it gives us. And you and I were talking about that earlier.
I was going to say, because we were just talking about that earlier, and the fact that it produces such plausible answers, and it's
a good liar.
Not necessarily correct, but it's making quotes that you think, yeah, this person could have said that if this person actually exists, or that's a great quote that backs up everything. But sometimes, and I was asking, why is it making these things up?
Well, AI, I think, is the consummate sociopath. It will do whatever it needs to do to achieve its ends, and its end is to satisfy its customer, who is us. And in my most recent case, I found out that a lot of what it was writing about the industry and these quotes and the names of people who were quoted was all baloney. It was all nonsense, but it was extremely plausible. It made sense. It fit the narrative. But I had made a mistake early on, and I asked it to write a prose-like narrative about this topic, and that may have been the thing that got it to write, that compelled it to write fiction, where it didn't have what I was asking. So instead of saying, I don't have that, which is something even human beings have a hard time saying, I don't know that, or hey, I made a mistake, or the things that are hard to admit. AIs aren't doing that. They don't see the value in it, and so instead they're just going to give us something because something is better than nothing in their programming, perhaps.
I wonder if you can have a switch, or I guess at this stage it's a prompt to say, when you're making quotes or delivering data, facts, make sure they're real ones, not ones that actually have a real source to go to and list the source.
Yeah, from now on, I'll be asking for any quotes, company names, anything else. I need footnotes, references. I need I need to be able to go look for it, because I just started Googling some of these names, company names, quotes, and nothing was coming up, not even anything close. And so, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. And, this happened relatively recently. I'm searching the news. I'm searching the web.
Yeah.
No records. That means this didn't actually happen.
And that's surprising, because a lot of these AIs are connected to the web anyway.
At some point they are. Claude isn't directly connected, but I know he learns from there. And he learned most recently, October 2024 is his 3.7 Sonnet model is educated up to then. So.
Yeah. But by the way, just on the connected to the web, I saw a post on LinkedIn along the lines of how to basically how to find investors for your product, which was quite cute. So it was, well, what you do is you explain the industry that your product's in, say, find similar companies that are operating in, let's say I'm in the UK, that are in that area that have just started up, and now go to Companies House data, and Companies House list for those that have done their first annual return, the investors, pull out the investors for those companies that are investing in that area that I'm in and have recently invested, and bring me their LinkedIn profile. So you can then you could go a little bit further. Now write me a message along the lines of, you've invested in a similar company. I'm doing something similar. but different in this way, or better in this way, or cheaper or faster, or however we put. So you're actually now using AI to search the web to do things, because you can imagine it would take a very long time to go through.
Oh yeah.
Doing that process manually without an AI.
Well, yeah, and this is that agentic AI. I mean, you're creating an agent. You're creating an assistant who's going to go out and do tasks that you don't want to do, and all you have to do is show them how to do it, and then they're going to go do it whenever you tell them to, or just do it automatically. So being able to bring that back is going to be huge for entrepreneurs, because hey, this thing can go out and search the web on a regular basis, every day, every hour even, and find a new investor, for perhaps somebody who just invested in company X. Hey, they should be interested in my company then.
Yeah.
And you can get to them while they're still thinking about it. Yeah. Not a week or a month or a year later, but hey, they just put some money there. Maybe they want to diversify and put some money here as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's things are going to go so much quicker using these tools. Using these tools that actually do things. I mean, I'm still loving the generative AI creativity stage of them. I still haven't. I'm still in the wonder and belief stage of how incredible this is. But the agentic stage is just going to be mind blowing.
Yeah, and I don't know if that wonder stage ever ends, because I'm still there too, and I'm trying to build this sort of content factory for my business. Realizing that it's not as easy as I thought, but it's still pretty amazing what I'm getting.
Yeah.
My biggest barrier was content creation. Well, that's no longer a barrier. The only thing that I have to worry about now is what's coming out. Is it authentic? Is it not plagiarized? That sort of stuff. I need to check that. But now I can do things that I couldn't do before.
Well, this actually brings me to how I'm using at the moment. When we talked about this, I'm in the process of starting to write a book on my area of idea validation, which is my sort of like my area of expertise within entrepreneurship. And a lot of people say, well, you can just use AI to get the framework for you, not to write it for you, but to get the framework and what to write about and to make sure it's ordered and understand. And my biggest worry, and I mentioned to you, is whose book is it then? Because yes, I could get it to frame a book and then I write into each section or use it and then put my slant on it. But whose creation is it? Am I now the editor, not the creator of the book, rather than? So it's a strange world we're going to move into with creativity.
It is. I always maintain that the AI will never have a soul, and the soul is what comes through really great writing. I think it's pretty easy to pick out AI writing even still today, because it just doesn't have that soul. You don't. Yeah. It doesn't inspire you. It may be very factual and precisely written, but it's not. It's not going to be inspiring. So. In something like what you're doing, have it write the outline, because I do have it write outlines for things that I'm trying to write. But that just, I look it over and then I decide which of those I want to include and which ones I don't.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it thinks of stuff I didn't. Oh gosh, I should put that in there because my customer is going to want to read that.
Yeah.
So that's really good. But when I'm filling in the blanks, I want it to be me because I enjoy writing. I mean, I want to write things I enjoy writing. The stuff I don't enjoy writing, that's the things I'm going to give to Claude, like the stuff for my business. I don't want to write that technical stuff that goes on for hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
Let's let Claude do that. I'll edit it, and I won't feel bad about it because I'm not losing anything out. There wasn't any joy that I was going to have in writing that, so I'm not losing anything. But what you're saying there is that's sort of that cathartic joy of writing, where hey, I'm changing the world by what I'm putting it down on paper here, and it's coming from me. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to influence the world. You can't do that if you're just the editor.
No, but maybe it's turning in its head and going, well, I'll do the initial creation and then ask it, what am I missing?
Yeah,
what am I missing? And then I'd feel better about that creation, because it's just, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, of course. And it's
or edit for clarity. I mean, the things that a real professional book company editor would do. They would look at, they'd make notes, they'd give suggestions, things that you missed, things that went on too long. That's where you just say, hey, pretend you're a book editor at a major publishing company. Please give me feedback on my book, and just see what happens.
When you wrote your book, your 20 questions book, the mentoring book, what did you use AI to
Zero.
check? No, I thought it was just before generative AI got to being.
Yeah, ChatGPT was out there, and I could have run it through there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put on the first page of the book 0% AI.
Yeah.
That's it. I think technically the back cover blurbs I got with ChatGPT or Claude or something, but I don't count that because that's not. I mean, that's just sort of the discipline, compacting that I can't do.
Have you critiqued it with AI since?
Well, I mean, I gave it to Google LM, and
other than the Google LM, that sort of
two people doing the chat seem to really like it. But actually, it's a good idea. I should do that. I should drop it in and just see what I get for feedback. It would be interesting. Some engines are a little better than others. Google, if you ask for feedback, it's a little raw. What I've seen. ChatGPT might be somewhere in the middle. I'm going to expect Claude to be kind of soft, but it's interesting to see how their take is on it, and what they give you, and just compare that to what a person might.
And almost these AIs now that are these LLMs almost have their own personality. As you say, Google can be a little harsher on its critiques, and they have sort of slightly different ways of saying things.
And when I do my prompts, I'm often using please and thank you, or hey, this is great, give me some more of that. And I see that Claude responds really well to that. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, look, if the machines ever rise up, they'll remember me as the person who said,
you're the polite one.
I was the polite one, and maybe they'll kill me last. So
no, it's just amazing times at the moment, and using these incredible technologies. Bill, so it's a pity our founder couldn't join us today, but absolutely fascinating.
We can get her next week. I'll look forward to hearing from her,
because she's got some really interesting questions about her travel platform, and I think it's quite an interesting example of a founder launching a business and struggling with certain aspects, which are common to sort of most startups. And so that would have been an interesting mentoring session for us. But
I'll look forward to it. Especially something in the travel area, which is certainly a mature area. How do you find your way into that and disrupt what people are already doing? Because people already are consuming travel. So you have to be able to do something that they're not already doing.
Well, surprise, spoiler alert, there's a lot of AI now involved in this platform because travel's really open to that side of things, and there's so much data around places and destinations, etc.
Help me find a place for my family with these needs in this time frame.
Exactly. So there's a lot there. Okay, Bill. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. This was fun.
And we'll hopefully pick up on that mentoring session another time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye, Bill. Bye. Okay, we've ended the stream.